Yo guys, Theo here on Common Sense. I gotta follow up with at least one more rant on this whole sugar diet thing. Here on the third day of a 0-calorie saltwater fast, by the way, and a bunch of sugary sweet drinks by my side that I'm, among other things, gonna break the fast with after finishing this video straight from a deep fasted ketogenic state for tons and tons of sugar, so I should have something interesting to say about this whole debacle, right? I think my first video on the topic was good, you know, that there are many useful bits of information and reasoning in there, but I may have gotten a detail or two a little bit off about the way people are actually following this sugar diet, and I've been thinking about it, and I think I have a good uncommon sense perspective to bring to the table of this. A nuanced perspective, an unideological perspective, because this is something that's very frustrating about diet. People get surprisingly emotional and ideological about it, like forget about the whole vegan ethics thing, even about their low carb or high carb, sugar, keto, fasting, and so on, you know. And it is frustrating to see now people are jumping on the sugar diet. It's the thing now. Yeah, it's the thing. No, see, it is better because this and that. Don't realize this has happened so many times before when the carnivore thing was at its hottest. Also, because there are a bunch of scientific arguments now for this sugar diet, right? The way it would upregulate metabolism. Thing is, when the carnivore diet was the most hot, still, I'm sure, but there were all these doctors and medical professionals sitting in podcasts and using very scientific reasoning to tell you why carnivore is the way, why sugar and carbs are not good, why all the plants are bad, all the anti-nutrients and so on, right? So my point here is that, well, first of all, no one that says that, like, this is how it is about nutrition, they're full of shit, okay? It is complex. No one knows as much, like we don't know nearly as much as there is to know. Like, it's complex, even with the knowledge we have at hand. It's still, to a big degree, a mystery to us. But the second thing is that things can be true at once, you know. People jump on this, like, I'm a sugar dieter now. Oh, sugar heals. Sugar is great, you know. Or now I'm the keto person, or I'm the fasting person. While someone like myself that used to be in piss poor shape, got their shit together, something like more is the point, became this holistic health expert pretty much, natural bodybuilder. I've experimented so much with training, with diets, high carb, low carb, keto, fasting, prolonged and intermittent, many days of fasting, dry fasting. I've done so many things, right? And I'm not ideological or married to one thing at all. No, I see these things that overlap. I'm a person that's going to go about my life, and I'm going to have different goals and different needs, and the climate, the weather is going to be different. So things are just different tools. There are things I like about keto and fasting. There are things I like about carbs, right? And so I guess to move on to talking about the actual sugar diet, how people are following it, and some thoughts around this whole topic is that, first of all, I got one thing wrong, that I thought sugar fasting was more like a fasting mimicking diet, when you eat but quite low, around 500 calories typically, and from sugar in this case, right? But I see now that it was from, like, reading through comments that certain people are very overweight, maybe did something like that. But I see now that one of the points is that some people are losing weight, even consuming, like, I don't know, 2,000 calories, not even that low, but just from sugar, right? And they're losing weight and they have a high energy. They're feeling good, right? And I hear that the reasoning here is that sugar in the absence of fat, there's a hormone that upregulates metabolism. You know, this is all bro scientific, guys, but it's like, trust someone that has experimented a lot with diet and training, and actually I go by first-hand information about many of these things, right? So many people, they sit and think they know so much because they heard someone tell them a bunch of things, and they tried it and it's working for them now, so now they think they know so much what they're talking about. But yeah, the point is, like I said in the last video, is that I'm not really for or against a thing like this, but I just see it from what it is. It may be a way for some people. It's like, okay, I can consume a bunch of sugar, I feel good, I like the taste from it, I don't have to hold back, I have good energy, so I can move a lot, and I can lose weight easily this way. Well, great for you, you know, but for some people, this is like, you've heard, just like I see sugar diet people now tell their stories about, oh, when I ate fat, I always felt this, or I couldn't do this, or never lost the weight, I plateaued, blah, 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 blah. I see the exact same thing so many times with keto carnivore people, oh yeah, sugar messes me up, or carbohydrate, I can't tolerate too much, or, yeah, cutting out the sugar, that really changed everything for me. So you see, just because... Yeah, because, again, with ideological, people want to come, but this is why my diet is best, though. Here are all the arguments, because you say you lose weight with this diet, but here are my arguments where it should be better with mine. Does it really matter in the end, is the point, And I still want to remind you that if you lose weight, what you do to lose weight on the sugar diet, probably how you would go about living a healthy lifestyle after that point, when you are trying to lose weight anymore, it's probably going to look quite different. So I'm going to tell you that you can have sugar in your diet. Like I'm a big fan, obviously. I'm going to tell you more about that. But just see it's a tool. It's just like keto. I don't think anyone should be on a keto diet permanently. But there are for certain people with a sugar addiction, And for some people, I'm sure going to tell me now that it's not the sugar that's the problem with the sugar addiction. Doesn't matter though. If you're addicted to sweet stuff that's also filled with fat and unhealthy things, a thing like a keto diet might be a good idea for someone to get rid of this junk food sugar craving, right? But then I don't think they should be on it forever. Same thing with this sugar diet. I don't think someone should be on it forever. And so I see Mark Bell, that I like, by the way. I like Mark, and to his credit, he tries stuff. Like, he doesn't just talk, right? But the thing with a guy like Mark is he really has a background of like the fat kid, the fat kid that struggles with food and cravings and stuff. And I've had some problems, like I've never been the fat kid. But the point is, what I've seen from Mark is that he's always looking for a thing. It's always like keto, fasting, and now the sugar diet, And it's like I'm going to tell you that you can have it all. You can have it all at the same time. Because I saw Mark say pretty much that it is the thing. It's not a fad, and it's like there's really no need to do fasting anymore. And this is where I gotta come in and be like, hey, wait a second, because I love fasting and I love sugar. Okay, there are certain things. Even if because this is where I hear people start arguing with me now that, oh well, but Theo, you could drink liters of this juice, thousands of calories, and you'd have energy, and you'd burn even more than when you're 0 calorie fasting. Even if I believe that's the case, there are certain things that happen on a fast that just it happens from eating 0 calories. Some deep, just like. Things that I don't have the credentials to tell you about specifically, but even just on the spiritual and emotional level, one aspect for me with fasting is the absence of calories altogether, and what that does to you, how it changes your perspective on things, right? But I'll also tell you, there are certain things that happen in a fasted state that just don't happen when you're fed, no matter what you're fed on, pretty much. Maybe keto, but there's some overlap with fasting and keto, but for instance, anti-inflammation, that's a thing. I go cycles of fasting. Like now I'm finishing a block of doing fasts every other week, 3 to 5 days, right? And I see it as a cleanup process. Not only do I use the fast to lose weight, but I can literally feel from experience. I've spent all these months before eating a lot and training to put on muscle and get bigger. I put on some fat in the meantime, but it's not just a mass. You beat your body up, and it's not so black and white. It's not about injuring yourself, but if you're someone that uses and trains with your body hard, you become just like a race car driver that's expert at their car, right? And what happens when I start fasting during this time, so many things just start feeling smooth. My knees that I don't really have pain in, but the first time after my third fast, I came and did a squat exercise. It was like, man, I could hit the personal best just because it was no friction in my joints, right? So there are certain things I get, I could go on about the autophagy, all these effects from the fasting. But the point is, now I want to come back to carbs. I discovered, getting into all of this with diet, it's a whole journey. I could do a video about my diet philosophy journey, what I learned and what I believed at different times. But, you know, to begin with, I guess I had kind of mainstream fitness idea. Then when I got into more fasting and stuff, I started being a little carbophobic after a while. But I figured I exercise, so I can have some carbs. I'm not just some fat guy, right? And then I started realizing that even fucking sugar, as I've always thought, because it tastes good, it's just fast-acting carbs, right? Yeah, well, the point is that I feel like through my lifestyle of doing these fast on and off and then going into eating much more high carb, but also quite high sugar, right? I just noticed I love both, right? I see the point about high energy and metabolism from consuming lots of sugar, and I do that a lot in the summer especially. And my experience through these years of having blocks when I do more fasting, and all the other times I eat as many carbs as possible, by the way, and a lot of them from sugar, but my experience is that I become extremely metabolically flexible, right? Like that fasting with 0 calories just isn't all that challenging for me. I used to talk about in my videos, or I will still mention it because it's a thing that on the second day, 30, 36 hours in or so, it's often a low point when you maybe don't feel great on the fast. That doesn't really exist for me anymore. So I feel like I transition in and out of this fast in a great way, right? And I have so much experience on completely depleting on glycogen, carbs, and then filling up a lot. And that's what I'm going to do today, right? And I see that, I mentioned it already, that the argument is that sugar in the absence of fat really upregulates metabolism. That might be the case, but I would, just in my experience, again, it's something that seems to not be black and white. Because I know that fat slows things down. So sometimes, you know, I try to separate them a little bit. But I also see that in my diet, it's not really high fat or low fat when I just maintain, when I start cutting, I get lower and lower into the fat. But it's generally kind of moderate fat. Like for instance, eggs. Egg white's a great protein, but I want that yolk. I want the nutritious fat and the micronutrients in there, right? I want tallow here. I'm going to eat a little bit fatty fish, some herring here, right? A lean meat, but with the tallow. But I've noticed it with myself in the summer that when I run around, it feels like I can consume on top of some fat with the proteins. You know, it feels pretty much like I can eat as many carbs as I want. I never gain weight. Like when I think I ate more and I should have gained, it's like, oh, I'm lower on the day today. And when I bulk, it's actually, even though I always try to eat as many carbs as possible, whether cutting, maintaining, or bulking, carbs, I love carbs. Even though I love fasting too, carbs are king for performance, right? But it's just so difficult for me to gain weight from only adding carbs if I'm trying to bulk. So I actually kind of have to rely on more fat. One thing I realize I need to add, sitting here editing, is a short point about protein, because it's easy to forget. Now we're talking about the sugar diet, and it feels like the other side, quote unquote, is keto or fasting. Protein is something you should be focusing on, okay? 30 to 50 grams of protein with each meal is a great goal for any person that isn't in the midst of some kind of radical weight loss or diet behavioral change, right? Because protein, like these foods, first of all, the eggs, the red meats, they contain a high amount of protein. They also contain a high amount of micronutrients. So just focusing on these foods is going to be, it's a multivitamin, right? But the protein is needed to build and preserve that lean mass, muscle mass with skeleton, skin, joints, ligaments, right? That kind of mass that we do want. So protein is very important for this reason, right? It's only when I'm fasting that I want zero protein, because protein will stop some catabolic processes that we do want, autophagy and such, right? But at all other times, protein. 2 grams of kilo per body weight. Ideal body weight. If you're very overweight, you don't need more protein because you're really fat. Although it wouldn't hurt. It's a great weight loss strategy. I'm the protein guy. Okay, I love sugar, I love fasting, but protein. Okay, so 2 grams per kilo or 1 gram per pound. It's about the same, right? That's a great goal. But what I'm saying is, I feel like I'm already getting this is kind of the point of this video, that living my lifestyle with a balanced diet, vertical diet, if you have to name it something, that's the closest diet, but with just this intermittent and prolonged fasting add-on to it, you know. I feel like that when I feel like I pretty much get the sugar diet benefits from living this way, that I do pretty much intermittent fasting. Sometimes I'm not completely rigid with the window, but I eat as high carbs as possible, quite a bit, from sugar, honey, fruit, juice, you know. I'm sorry if this is a little messy, guys. I have to stop and think. I have so many thoughts about the thing like this, right? I don't remember what I already said and that. But it's like, you see people argue about things that you feel like you're living in these things all the time, and it's nuanced, and you just want to like, people, it's not keto, it's not sugar diet, it's like this thing for this tool for me when I'm doing this at this time, you know. Oh, now I need more of this because I changed this, right? The whole balance, right? So you see, I love that. I feel like I get the sugar diet benefits from this sort of lifestyle is the point, you know. And it's really that I don't have to keep the fat so fucking low, that I don't have to do a thing like consuming sugar all day and then lean protein later, or sugar for several days and then have 2 days when I eat protein. No, I just do intermittent fasting-ish, you know, with some fats from the eggs, adding some fat if it's a leaner meat, you know, a little fat in the fish, but so kind of, but some potatoes, lots and lots of juice today, you know. My goal today, after I'm done with cutting, right, I want to carb up, and it's like, it's the easiest way. I know for myself from trying to carb up from a fast, starchy carb only, I'm gonna be like sleeping, you know. I'm even gonna eat this fucking candy, 300 grams of candy, you know, just to carb up, you know. So I guess I don't even know how to round off this video, but the thing is, guys, it's like, you know, it's one thing when I work with an individual person, because then I can really apply my mindset and ask them and monitor with them, see what works for them right now, you know. But I guess what I want to tell you, it's like, it's so fucking fun, guys. When you become the expert, you don't have to listen and look for the next thing, because I think this is a fad, to be clear, you know. Like, I'm sure some people are going to stick to it for a long time, and they're gonna, just like there are people that stick to vegan diets and carnivore diets that report doing it for a long time, and it works well, you know. But, you know, the magic is in fucking figuring yourself out, becoming the master of your body, right? Like, don't think just about diet, think about training, but think about all these things. What do I want to get out of my diet for this purpose? What different purpose can different things I do serve, and so on. Sorry guys, it's getting really messy now. I just wanted to share some more thoughts on it. I have some people that are really wanting me to talk more about it also. But it is really interesting to me, honestly. I love sugar, I love carbs, but man, am I looking forward to all of this. Gonna break this fast now after finishing this video. So please like and comment, guys, any more thoughts you have. It's always interesting to get some discussion going. I do holistic bodybuilding coaching, getting jacked and stacked mentally, physically, spiritually, working on ourselves, body, mind, and soul, becoming that individual that just is fucking stellar, jacked in order they externalize an amazing physique because they are that person internally. That just looks that way. That was one of the weirder ways I've said that, but I do coaching pretty much, and it's not just about the body, is the point. So if you're interested, you can send me DM on Instagram or email me. It's in the description below. I'll get back to you with my different programs and offers. Pick up my training book, everything training, philosophy, mindset related you need in order to become a jacked and stacked individual. My diet thoughts and fasting thoughts related to bodybuilding in there. And please subscribe for more content about fitness, fasting, losing weight, building muscle, self-improvement, stoicism, mental health, philosophy, spirituality, mindset. It is a mindset, guys. Fucking nuanced mindset. It's funny. I know people are going to think I'm extreme with many things that I do. Funnily enough, I know one that's actually balanced in between different things. Not, oh, keto, a sugar diet. Wow.